Hey, welcome to You, Me, and BTC, our special live edition. This is YMB Live. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you Wednesday afternoon, maybe a lunch hour, who knows what. I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with.
Tim Baker. Hi.
And John Stuart.
So, how are things, guys? You've been keeping busy. You had did you survive the 4 or so days without me when I left for Vegas?
Yeah, I did. I did pretty well.
Pretty well.
You
Better or
kept
worse
talking to
than
me anyway,
Vladimir?
but
When did you come
uh,
back?
I got back Sunday morning. Yeah,
um,
Tim, I
probably
I talked
better.
to you.
No, while you were gone, it was pretty much the same, Daniel. You don't make that much of a difference. Don't worry.
Shut up, Tim. I make your life so much better. It's
I
not
mean,
even
yeah, that's so
funny.
much
So.
better.
So this is YMB Live. We've got all your Bitcoin headlines, and I added most of the time. I've been, when I write show notes and stuff, I've just been saying Bitcoin headlines, but I felt the need to add Bitcoin headlines and outrageous opinions because we do have a lot of those. So that's part of the show now officially. If you're interested in sharing your thoughts, comments, questions, if you have any Bitcoin headlines that you would like us to cover, now is the time to tweet them our way. You can do that by sending a tweet to @UMe and BTC with the hashtag YMBLive, which you can do that really easily by going to umeandbtc.com/live, and there's a button right there. It'll fill in the tweet box with that information right there. And you can also watch us on that page. You can listen if for some reason you prefer the radio stream. And the cool part is that radio stream starts a few minutes early and it ends a few minutes late just for fun, so you can hear me and Tim fight over a broken toilet before we start the
Yeah,
show.
yeah. Because Daniel didn't make any kind of warning as I walked in there. I mean, I
And
got it to flush because I'm just amazing with my hands with that. But
whoa, that
um,
that could be kind of messed up, but
yeah, it's supposed to be taken as messed up, Daniel. That's why I use that language.
so yes, the radio stream is there. umeandbtc.com/live. You can tweet us, and the last or one of the last things on that page is voting. We didn't have time to set up a poll last week because I just landed in Vegas right before the show, but it's up there this week. And uh, Tim, you want to share a little bit about what the question is? It's about sketchy business in Bitcoin. Is it good or bad?
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about this in the show last night, and you'll have to tune in tomorrow when we get that put out, or when Daniel gets that put out. And it's Daniel mostly brought up the question that if it was something that had to do with more people getting involved with Bitcoin, and we wanted to know if you're if more people are getting involved, that's good, but if the more people are getting involved are from more of a not necessarily illicit, but like frowned upon industry or business. Is that good or bad for Bitcoin? Does it kind of just take it back to the old, not the old view, but the kind of general view of it being used mostly for crime? Does it just reinforce that, or does it not really matter? Is it just good to see more people taking it on?
Right, right. I'll just read the question and answers word for word, just so people know what they can vote for.
Apparently,
Is
I
it
didn't
good or
explain it
bad?
well enough.
No, that was good, but I'll just read it. Is it good or bad when people turn to Bitcoin to facilitate sketchy business, i.e., escort services on Backpage? Because that's what started this. Is just Backpage is turning to Bitcoin, and they have some sketchy stuff. We're going to talk all about that tomorrow on our regular show. Well, we did talk about it yesterday, but you can hear all about it tomorrow. So tune in. I'll probably get it out, I don't know, 5:30, 6:30. That's when it normally is. Or of course you should just be subscribed via email or iTunes or something, and then you'll just get it. But anyway, answer number one, it's very good. It gets more people using Bitcoin, including people who aren't involved in the sketchy stuff. Answer number two, not sure. Answer number three, it's bad. All the media says is that illegal activities were involved and Bitcoin's reputation worsens. And the reputation of Bitcoin is a pretty serious thing. I mean, I don't notice it a lot because I'm already in Bitcoin and everybody I talk to is already okay with Bitcoin usually. Of course, I talk to other people and I do hear a lot about the bad reputation. People are like, "Wait, isn't that just bad? Isn't it just for illegal stuff?" And so that's pretty serious and it's worth thinking about. So head to youmeandbtc.com/live. Get your vote in. The poll is near the bottom. You can also fill in your own answer if you're interested, and make sure you click the tweet button while you're there. Okay, so I think it's time to jump into some Bitcoin headlines and crazy opinions. I uh, I don't know for sure, but I'm just gonna put you on the spot, Tim. Well, I know John's a little sick with allergies, so we'll give him a little bit of time, and we can do some stories in a bit. I'm just gonna assume that Tim was responsible and has the story ready. I'm gonna turn it over to him and let him take it away with whatever he so chooses.
Whatever I so choose. Okay. Well, I didn't get to read too much of this article, but
You can drop a link
yeah,
so we
that'd
can.
probably be a better thing to do. It's not directly related to Bitcoin. It's something with those colored coins that I'd heard of a long time. One of the first times I've seen, one of the first times, but it's a decent way that they could be used. Apparently, a lot of stock from Dell got kind of lost by the banks. Um, So that was a problem. Now they're saying now that obviously if you set something up like the colored coins or something where you can more easily differentiate and there's a blockchain attached to it and everything like that, stuff like this really shouldn't happen that well or that
Actually,
easily, or it's just
these
what?
first three, there's three numbered points right at the very beginning, and they're not connected to the incident,
No.
but, well, I'm sure they are somehow, but it's a really they're really interesting points, so they might be worth reading if you want to.
You could have too, Dan. But yeah,
All
I'll
right,
go.
all right, all right.
Um,
Okay.
Here are three stylized facts. I don't know what that means about stocks, but anyway, nobody owns stock. What you own is an entitlement to stock held for you by your broker. But your broker doesn't own the stock either. What your broker owns is an entitlement to stock held for it by Seed & Co., which is the nominee of a depository trust company, which is a company that is in the business of owning everyone's stock for them. This system sounds convoluted, but actually makes it easy to keep track of things. If I sell stock to you, I don't have to courier over a paper share certificate or call up the company and have it change shareholder register. Our brokers just changed some electronic entries our brokers just changed some electronic entries at their DTC accounts and everything's cool. 2, if you own a stock in a company that gets acquired for cash, you can ask a court to second guess the merger price and give you the fair value of your stock in cash. A court will appraise your stock and order the surviving company in the merger to pay you what it's worth plus interest, which may be more or less than the deal price. But to get that appraisal under Delaware law, you need to follow some procedures. In particular, you have to demand appraisal in writing from the company before the shareholder vote. Before the shareholder vote, you have to vote against the merger or abstain, and you have to own the stock continuously from the time you demand appraisal until the merger closes. And point 3, every time fact 1 and fact 2 interact, the result is invariably nonsense.
So this reminds me really heavily of Patrick Byrne because his nickname is the Scourge of Wall Street, and this is the kind of stuff he talks about all the time. He's like, nobody owns anything, nobody knows who owns anything. There are a lot of people who they own more stock than there even really exists. Like there's a lot of fake sales. Not really. it's not. Well, it's definitely malicious in a sense, but it's not like it. It's not necessarily planned that way. It's just it's so hard to keep track of that people they end up rushing and they don't count things right and they don't distribute things
You
right
look at
and
how much that stuff's being sold every single day. You'd imagine that something's going to
oh
happen.
yeah. Yeah, I know. The whole idea of like the floor of like the New York Stock Exchange is just I mean, you see pictures and news stuff from there and it's just screens everywhere and all these guys in suits just running around yelling and paper everywhere and so it's crazy stuff that goes down. So anyway, so what actually happened with colored coins? So I guess does Dell did they use color coins and stuff
N-
got a little confused?
No, what's actually interesting, it's an article from Bloomberg, and the I found it just because someone linked to it saying that it wouldn't have happened with colored coin. Uh,
Okay, okay.
but Bloomberg was Bloomberg was just reporting that they had lost a lot of stock and was a little bit of a trouble here. Which
Okay.
I mean, I like the idea of the blockchain being used for it, but at the same time, I don't really like the stock market in general. Normally, it
Uh
seems so. I mean, I can't really talk on it since I don't know, but I will talk about it
well,
anyway. That
the
it's just all kind of
traditional system.
fucked up and what?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I would agree, just like we said about what Patrick Burns said. Yeah, I would agree. It's pretty messed up right now. And okay, and then yeah, for for an existing stock exchange like the New York Stock Exchange to migrate to Bitcoin or blockchain technology might not be perfect, just because you're right, they already are super corrupt. Although although it could help because
Yeah,
the
but no
whole
one's going to
point.
use one that's not corrupt because there's no. I mean, there's no like they're making money more so than we're already doing with the QE stuff. They're literally just making money come out of nowhere and just selling stuff and moving stuff for. I mean, I guess that's what you do with anything with short little trading, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't see someone who doesn't have to get forced into it. I mean, I guess if you gave
Yeah.
people an option with the 401k to get into a stock exchange that was tracked with the blockchain instead, but I don't see people putting their money into it unless they're forced to, like they are now.
Well, the first thing I would say is that there are some existing blockchain-based
Exchanges
exchanges,
now. Okay.
and I don't even know. I should know what they're called, but well, even uh, that's what Patrick Byrne wants and is planning to do with Overstock. He's going to dual list it on the Nasdaq and on a blockchain exchange. I really wish I could remember the name of one. But yeah, there are some out there, and there are even companies that use it. I mean, maybe not completely legit companies. They might just be crypto things that people started and they do whatever. And if people want to buy in and hope to make a profit, sure, you can do that. And I mean, I should look into this more because maybe there are some big companies, fairly. If they were big, we would know. Maybe so. I would say fairly big companies that do this. But yeah, so first of all, I'd say they exist already. But I get what you're saying about if like the Nasdaq or the New York Stock Exchange switched. Yeah, I
I
could
don't
see a
see how
lot of
they
people not
could.
being happy
Yeah.
about that because they like the fuzziness, they like the uncertainty of paper and ownership rights and trying to move it around, but sometimes they get duplicated and nobody even realizes it. Yeah, sure, they like that, and they might not want to take it away.
Yeah.
Is there anything else there that's worth talking about? Okay, here I got to read this because it says I see two quotes, and in between them it says, "Here's an even goofier thing." So I like goofy things. Uh, this is kind of in the middle of the story, but it'll probably make sense as we go. Except for fact one, T. Rowe Price never owned any shares, and so it never voted any shares. Its ownership, its voting, everything were as shadows flickering on the wall of a cave. Everything that any shareholder thinks it does, Seed and Co. actually does. And again, Seed voted enough of its shares against the deal, so Seed could get appraisal. Here's T. Rowe's lawyer. I think the case law is rock solid, and the only thing that counts is how is how the record holder votes. It's shared. That's some bad grammar, but whatever. Grant said in an interview. To me, it is cut and dried that all stockholders who sought appraisal will be entitled to appraisal. Except here's an even goofier thing from yesterday, another quote. A Delaware judge Monday found that because owners of roughly 1 million Dell shares failed to continuously hold their stock during the buyout process, they forfeited their rights to challenge the deal price. He blamed legal precedent and quirks of the country's arcane stock management system and expressed frustration at his own ruling. It is. It's arcane. That's what it is. It's clunky, and this all this stuff is conflicting and confusing. I don't know if there's much more to say, right? It's just old-fashioned, and we need a replacement. There's a whole lot more quotes here, but we could go on. Oh, wow, this is actually really long. And then there's even footnotes. Holy cow, there's 10 footnotes. We could go on forever, but I think we covered the important stuff, right? It needs fixed with blockchain. Cool. All right. Well, do you want to go, John, or are you
You
still?
want to
Are
try?
you?
Muddle
No,
through.
I mean, I could go. Yeah.
Okay. You're super
Let's
quiet just
see.
so you know.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, it's a little better. All right. So yeah, it's all you. Drop a link and tell us where we're going next.
All right. What do I want to do? We can do we'll go with this one. All right.
Still a little quiet. Not terrible, but
Well, I don't know. We'll see
that's
how it
fine.
goes. Okay. So this is the headline is first instant Bitcoin-based remittance service launched in the Philippines. There's a Canadian company based in Canada. I don't know what I was. Bear with me here. Okay, so yeah, there's a Zinger. I guess they're a Canadian-based company, and they partnered with a company in Philippines called Coins.ph, and yeah, and that. Hold on a second. Yeah, and I guess, so what they're doing is using this Interac thing, which is a payment processor in Canada that will allow people to basically send money straight from their bank account. It gets transferred into Bitcoin, sent over to the Philippines, and then people can take it out. Oh, sorry. People can take it out over there and get the money, and it's seems pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird. It's interesting that it's specifically a Canadian Filipino remittance
Yeah,
corridor.
I'm
I
not.
mean, we talk about remittances a lot, but I never really thought about the fact that every country is so different and their laws are so convoluted and stuff. So if you want to do remittances, sometimes you got to be really specific and just handle one country to another country because
Yeah,
it can be tough to make everything work together.
Yeah, I was thinking while I read that it's kind of weird. Like I don't know. They didn't really explain why it's those two countries. It's kind of just like they kind of
Yeah,
just started talking about it.
yeah, yeah.
But
Like,
yeah, I think it's cool. And like the one thing that they're talking about is how since they're basically buying the Bitcoin through their bank account, they don't need to share any information with anybody besides their bank, who they're already sharing information with, presumably. So that's nice. And there's a quote at the end I'll read, I guess. I think Bitcoin works best as a plumbing in the background, and from my experience, it's best to use Bitcoin as a way to lower your operational costs and improve transaction speed, and then sell consumers on the lower cost and speed. So yeah, I mean, I this is just becoming a consistent thing that's people are seeing that it has benefits even if they don't want to actually buy fully into Bitcoin. There's still a lot of
yeah,
good stuff about it.
yeah. So what do you guys think? And this is actually something I've considered before. I'm not 100% where I stand on it, but what I mean, just what he said there. Bitcoin works better in the back end. Do you see do you see that happening, or do you want it to happen? Do you think it will be good or bad if Bitcoin, if it wasn't mainstream everyday use, or used every day? Well, I mean, it would be used every day, but not like, let's say it wasn't used to buy a coffee, or to even maybe to order online. Say that people just didn't end up going that way, but it hung around in the background to facilitate just big, maybe the bank kind, well, yeah, the stock kind of stuff, bank kind of stuff. It's good because it's fast, it's instant. I guess those are kind of the same thing. But what if it just it turned out that Bitcoin is a little too difficult to use for everyone to do it every day, but it just hung around in the back end and was still helping people out? Would that still be useful? Good, bad? Any thoughts at all?
It's still better, I think. I'd
Okay.
probably rather have it just be used by itself. And I don't know if difficulty would be the reason why it didn't get used like that, because I mean, I think people are trying to make it less difficult. I think it's been getting less difficult and will continue
Right.
to get less difficult. I
That's exactly what I would have said. Yeah.
yeah, I
So,
think if it doesn't get used for that, it's probably not going to be because of difficulty. It'll be other things like people's associations with it, or maybe it will get outlawed. Who knows?
right, right. Yeah, that's possible. I actually, one of my
Or
other stories, if I can find it here, was actually pretty similar. Um, but I don't know where it went. It's got to be around here somewhere. It was about banks, I think. Banks accepting Bitcoin. All right, maybe I can't find it. Maybe if I find it in a little bit, then we'll come back to it, but whatever. So anything else on that one that's worth talking about? Canadian, Philippines, Bitcoin remittance system built on Bitcoin.
I guess one other thing that we can say is that um, it's people following through on what they said was going to come, because the remittances were something that people talked about a lot with with Bitcoin as one of the benefits. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
actually happening. It's good.
Yeah, and I actually had someone, gosh, I can't remember where this one is either. I don't know if it was on Twitter or on a forum or something, but somebody specifically was asking me, like, what do you do you have any? Are there any it was on Liberty Me. That's where it was. There's a Bitcoin group on Liberty Me, and somebody was asking, is there a way to send remittances with Bitcoin? Like, if if I want to send Bitcoin across the world, and yeah, it's something that people care about, I guess. It's something that people want. It's something that people will use, and there are, several services out there that are built for that. And and you're right. Uh, hopefully it's helpful and it gets people into Bitcoin because it really is pretty great for that. I mean, there's still going to be if you're not worried about Bitcoin and if you're not planning on staying in Bitcoin, then yeah, you're going to pay some fees when you buy the Bitcoin, and then once the recipient sells the Bitcoin, you're going to pay fees, and it's not going to be as cheap as it would be to just use Bitcoin directly. But I would imagine that it's a fair bit cheaper than Western Union or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers and stuff, but I would imagine it has to be. So, so I think it should help people. But okay, cool. Is that it for that one? I Everyone listening, you should, even if you're listening later to the podcast or watching the YouTube video, you should get to you, me, and btc.com/live. Uh, if it's later, the main thing you can do there is vote in our poll because I'm going to leave that open all week. And Tim and John, I expect answers from you.
Oh,
Uh,
you do.
yeah, well, just a reminder for everyone. The question is it good or bad when people turn to Bitcoin to facilitate sketchy services? I guess I'm going to say good because I don't I don't mind sketchy services that much. I mean, and I guess sketchy is a relative term, but for the most part, it's whatever you want to do, just whatever. I don't care. And yeah, I guess I do think it would help more people because that's kind of the deal with Backpage is they turned completely to Bitcoin, and so then everybody, even the people who aren't doing sketchy things, are having to learn about Bitcoin, find out how it works. I think that's pretty cool. Uh, so I guess I'm going to say it's good, pretty darn good. I can't tell the future, but that's what I think. Anyway, that's at you, me, and btc.com/live. You can vote there. You can watch our past shows are actually listed there, our past live shows, and definitely if you want to check those out, it's, they're awesome.
They're
But
awesome.
you can watch this existing show if it's still live. The radio streams there. It starts early and ends late, so you get some sneak previews or
There's
post
special
views, I
content.
guess. If you're listening late, would it be called a post view or something? I don't know.
Yeah,
And
probably.
tweet us. Always looking for tweets. There's a button right there. It'll send a tweet to at you, me, and BTC with the hashtag YMBLive. If you have a question, a comment, a headline, or a haiku that you want to send our way, that's how you do it. And those we call them the open tweet lines. Those are open all week too. So definitely, whenever you're listening, watching, or whatever, send us your thoughts. We'd love to hear. Okay, so the next
Well,
thing I want to
first,
do is mention Genitrust.
yeah,
I really should pull
other
up
way.
my video
Uh,
before I try to point.
this one. I got it.
But yeah, no, definitely thanks to Genitrust. They've been supporting us a whole lot. They've been super great. And their service really is awesome. I mean, I was using them well before they started sponsoring us, and I still use them all the time. They super convenient. You can buy Bitcoin with cash or sell Bitcoin for cash pretty much instantly, same day, within a few minutes, usually 15 minutes tops. If you're buying, just deposit cash, and a few minutes later it'll be confirmed, and you'll receive your Bitcoin. If you're selling, the cash is available immediately in your bank account, so you don't have to wait for transfers or anything. So check that out at wallofcoins.com, developed by Genetrust, they just want to make Bitcoin easier to use, more simpler, and I guess it's kind of what we were just talking about. Like Bitcoin is getting easier to use all the time. It's still a little bit technical, sure, with just because it's so new and everything, but there is so much development going on, and Genetrust is behind a good part of that. So check out wallofcoins.com. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go next. I do have some cool stories that I want to cover. Where to start? Here's one. This is from CoinDesk.com. The headline is Hardware Vulnerability, quote, could compromise Bitcoin private keys. So basically, there's this company called, well, the device is called SafeNet Luna G5. And, yeah, okay, the company is SafeNet. And they have, I don't know a whole lot about them, but apparently they have hardware that is specifically designed for like security and storing Bitcoin. It looks kind of like a server rack. It's just a little computer box that can do what you tell it to, right? But it's built for storing Bitcoin, and they found out that it has some sort of vulnerability, and you can actually take off public and private keys from the device, which at first glance that sounds awful. Like, how did they screw up so much? How are you going to lose if it's built for security, but you can lose private keys off of it, even though they're never supposed to come off the device? Yeah, sounds pretty bad, and to some extent it is, especially when the whole purpose of the device and the whole purpose of this company is to secure Bitcoin. Sure, it's a little
I
sketchy. Go
I
ahead.
also had this article, and I guess I just want to throw in real quick. I don't think it was designed for securing Bitcoin. It
Okay,
was
maybe
just
maybe it's just security in general. Let me see if I can find.
yeah, because later down they're talking about how they had to like on some of the devices they had to like adapt them to make it work. Like they said it
Okay,
works pretty well, but it wasn't specifically designed for this. It's
yeah, it
designed to
looks
do a
like
lot of things.
right. What I'm seeing is, uh, well, yeah, cold storage, but that's also not quite its intent. Okay, well, yeah, it's some sort of secure device, maybe not specifically for Bitcoin, but secure device. But anyway, the bright side is that it's a pretty difficult vulnerability to exploit, and even they say most people have it set up so that if like you have to have special privileges on the device anyway in order to to execute the exploit. And so yes, it's a vulnerability, but it's difficult to deal with, difficult to exploit. And as far as they know, nobody has been hit by it, and they have a patch already. So it's nothing really. It seems like is gonna go wrong. I said that kind of messed up, but everything should be okay. Uh, no issues as far as they know. I'll read a quote here. Bitcoin is one payment technology where possession of money can be boiled down to pure cryptographic capability. Generating a signature with an ECDSA private key is money. If you lose control of that private key, you lose the ability to spend your funds, plain and simple. And that's true. That's your Bitcoin is secure as your ECDSA signature. And I'm not a cryptographic expert, but I would imagine that every device develops these keys and these signatures maybe a little differently. And I'm sure that some devices are more secure and some devices are less secure, and it just depends how you make the key and then how you store the key. And that's obviously that's we know that the most important thing in Bitcoin is your private keys. And if in a lot of cases you if you're using a web wallet, you might not even have your own private keys. And of course, that's pretty sketchy. Don't yell at me, Tim. Um, but
Oh, wow, I'm gonna yell at you.
Yeah.
because I don't have my private keys sometimes.
Oh,
At
that's a
the
good
at the
idea.
at the bottom of this article, there's some stuff that's worth reading. I'll just read.
Yeah,
This
go for it.
vulnerability serves as a reminder that sometimes even the additional layers of defense that go above and beyond, such as using dedicated HSMs, which is hardware security modules, to manage keys, can fail. However, HSMs remain the best practice for managing cryptographic keys. And then they say there's no silver bullet for companies to safeguard Bitcoin and prevent attacks. The best strategy, he said, is one that's based on multiple layers of security, including this hardware. So, yeah, I mean, even I guess what they're saying is everything's going to have a vulnerability at some point.
Yeah, it is true, and it's tough to think about it because you feel like there has to be some perfect way, like completely secure, but there isn't. I mean, everything's going to have risks, and it's like I haven't heard this recently, but you know, they used to talk about all the time in the Bitcoin space, like if you want to make a really secure paper wallet, you have to build your own computer and build your own printer and never connect it to the internet and print out your private key in a cave in the ground so that nobody can ever access it. I mean, it was a joke, of course, but yeah, that's what people talked about. If you want to be secure, it's going to take some effort. The difficult thing though is just that no matter how much effort you take, there's always got to be some vulnerability, right? So so you just got to be careful. I would say another thing that they didn't mention this, but another thing would be diversification, right? Keep a little bit on one wallet with that's maybe if you're a big company, keep a little bit on one wallet that's accessible to a certain group or a few people. Keep a little bit on another wallet that's accessible to different people, and just try and spread it out. And don't let everyone have access to every Satoshi, right? Like spread it out and because then if one thing fails or if one employee goes rogue or whatever, they only get a little bit, right? So, but even then, that's a security vulnerability, and even if it's distributed, you still could lose a decent amount, and it stinks. But just keep working hard, and people are still developing things, and it'll get better, but it'll never be perfect. So, okay, all right, that was a good one. That's a good I don't know, public service reminder. Like security is important, which I really need to tell myself more often.
Yeah, we like to tell each other things and not do them, don't we, Daniel?
True statement. True statement. All right. Well, I mean, we've never really done this before, but we're kind of getting into a pattern. So if we want to loop back to Tim, and if you've got another story, Tim,
I've got
I
another
guess
one
we
that's not
can.
directly related to Bitcoin, but definitely influences it. So I don't know
Yeah,
why I
sure, go
said
for
that. That was the dumbest.
it.
Anyway, it's the wonderful International Monetary Fund. I'll send
You
you
want to
guys an
paste the
article.
link?
Yes, Daniel, I can, even though you never do so yourself.
Well, well,
And why
it's
are
not
both of
my
you coming
fault.
up as you, me, and BTC in my...
Oh yeah, yeah. It's because yeah, that's why things didn't work last week, Tim. You still have. I told you in the email. I said make sure you accept the invite to become a manager of the page, and you never
I
did, and
did.
that's why you couldn't click the green button.
Yeah,
But
I
John
told you it
has.
wouldn't work yesterday or last week because I didn't see that email. I saw the one that invited me to the hangout, but not the manager one. I
Okay,
saw it like
okay.
the next day or something, and I was like, oh, that's why it didn't work.
That's all right. We made it work. But
I
yes,
think he
John
also
is a
told me
manager,
not to
and you're
click on
not,
that.
Tim. So your pay grade
I
is still
came here
low.
last week and I asked, should I do it on the phone? And you were like, no, don't worry about it. So I didn't click it, Daniel. Anyway,
Anyway,
they're just talking about the International Monetary Fund. They're giving a memo on Greek debt sustainability, and their memo again pretty much translates to, I sent you guys the article, right? Yeah. Memo
yes.
again translates pretty much, you guys are fucked and we can't do too much because no one knows of any other way to fix this besides taking a bunch of money from the the wealthier Northern European countries. So right now, what the I.M.F memo is looking at is either Greece and the European Union is going to have to come closer together and start doing like what I said, paying some of the wealthier countries paying off Greece's debt, or it's going to fall apart. Maybe, or at least Greece is going to fall off, and maybe some other
Oh
ones.
my
Also, we were
gosh.
talking before the show about all the different countries having problems now. That'll be interesting to see what that does with Bitcoin. Is
Well,
the euro is
yeah.
kind of tossed up? They're like, well, this isn't sustainable at all. uh,
Yeah,
but
no,
we're
we've been
gonna.
talking about the euro and Greece for several weeks now, and it's true. I mean, and the whole idea of a financial crisis, would it help Bitcoin? I think that's pretty likely. We've already seen it helping a decent amount. But I love the second paragraph here. Well, I'll just read it. The IMF memo amounts to an admission that the Eurozone cannot work in its current
Yeah.
form. It lays out three options for achieving Greek debt sustainability, all of which are that's a weird term, debt sustainability. They want to sustain their debt.
Yeah, I mean
The three
that is actually the big thing is you need to have Daniel.
Yeah,
Debt
well,
is
yeah, I
good.
guess
Remember, debt is good.
yeah, yeah. All three options are tantamount to a fiscal union, an arrangement through which wealthier countries would make payments to support the Greek economy. Not coincidentally, this is the solution many economists have been telling European officials is the only way to save the euro, and which Northern European countries have been resisting because it's so costly. Literally, they're like, okay, Greece is in debt. The only way you can get them out is just give them money and everything. That's the only way to make this work is to just rich people give the poor people money and yeah, whatever. Go ahead, try it. Try it. We'll see if they ever pay you back. They won't, and we'll be right back here someday. I mean, I guess I don't even know if they're expecting to be paid back. Like I think they just want to more or less just like, oh, just pay for Greece's debt and see if it helps.
Yeah, well, and then we'll
Um,
just wait for another country to fall apart.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how things go. Anything else good in here? Europeans would have good reason to fear that a debt haircut given to Greece today would not be the last. Of course not. Of course not.
You mean the debt will keep on growing? Really?
Like, haven't they've been like bailed out before, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, no. That's what all the riots were for a few years ago. Was Greece has been freaking out about it, and they came to something before, and then I thought they postponed the decision for a little bit, and then this past time was because they actually had like a hard deadline to pay some debts back, and they're like, we don't have any money, guys. We can't pay it. So yeah, definitely. If someone owes you $100,000, you pay 50,000. With the way they run stuff, they're probably gonna have another 100,000 in several years. Obviously,
Exactly. It's just like the question about do we need a financial crisis to happen? Well, and what I kept saying is
we're
that
in a financial
listen,
crisis now. It's not like this is good. Everyone just assumes that the system that it actually it barely works as is. Like it works because you're kind of like forcing it through to constantly work. It's not
well,
like
yeah,
natural. It's
yeah,
it's
that's what
not
they
naturally
always do.
fluid. It's just you're jamming it into it. But yeah.
That's what they always do, though, with the debt ceiling and everything. They just push it down the road. And that's why I'm saying that we need the crisis now, because pushing
Yeah.
it down the road doesn't help anybody. It's just going to bring it on later, probably worse. So just let it happen. Just let it happen. Like, get it over with now. And you're right, we're in a financial crisis, but what I mean is we need the worst of it to just happen and be done. Uh,
I don't know
because
how quick it's going to be done. I
yeah,
don't.
but
How does
if you
like,
delay it, it's just
theoretically?
gonna
How
be.
do you go? Go.
I'm done. If you delay it, it's just gonna be longer, and it's not
Okay.
gonna help.
How does it really help? Like theoretically, how does that work itself out? Because I'm trying to think of like
What do you
how long
mean?
that would be. Like now,
Like
because I
you
think like
mean
the reason why
monthly?
people don't want to go through it is because I mean a lot of people are going to get it's not going to be good for a lot of people. It's not like you can just say, well, just take the just rip the band-aid off quick. Whenever they're ripping the band-aid off, is a lot of people dying and children starving in the streets and stuff like that. I
So
mean, it's
so so
already
you're
happening, I
asking,
guess.
yeah, and you're asking how it would end, right?
I guess I'm asking if we can, like, we say we can recover from it, but how do you? I
Yeah.
guess.
So basically, I'm not an expert, but what I would guess is, so the euro fails, okay? So the dollar fails. A lot of people are going to lose a lot of money, right? They're just
Lose
all of
all
a
their
sudden
money.
they're not going to have anything to spend. Standard of living is probably going to drop a whole lot, just like a Great Depression kind of thing. And the way it ends is, yeah, definitely long and slow. Long. It's a long and slow recovery, and it's just really it's just trying to rebuild, uh, make more money to get everybody working again. I think is the main goal, because I mean that's how people get money, is by working, and so that's what people got to do. They got to work hard and try and get money back, and then use the money to so that other people are also profiting. I think that really is the biggest thing, is work. I mean, people talk about jobs, and sure, mostly that's the same thing, but I guess I would prefer the word work, because I think people should be able to get by without a job. They should be able to work on their own and work for themselves. But yeah, I guess that I've never thought this through before, but that's what it's coming to now, and I think it makes sense. It's just work. If you work, you benefit yourself, and if you make money, then you can use the money and benefit other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. But yeah, just like the Great Depression, you're right. It'll take a while. Some people won't really have ways to work. Like, well, what am I gonna do? Like, what kind of job am I gonna do? If if are there people out there that can afford to pay me? Is there if I want to just work for myself, like what needs to be done? How can I employ my time in a way that's beneficial to others? And in some cases, it's just hard to find ways to do that, and that's what makes it difficult, I guess. But it happens, I guess. Anything else in this article? They talk about all three options, but that's probably a little much to get into.
I don't think anyone really cares about their
Well,
stupid
well,
options that
okay,
won't
it's
work.
worth touching on.
Oh,
One of them's extending the grace period.
that
Like,
always
what does that
works.
even
They'll
mean?
pay
It's like,
it back
oh,
in a few
well,
more years.
we'll just let them pay it. Like, that's not even like they're not paying it back, and it's like, oh, everything will be fine if we just say that. That's literally all it would be is them saying that it's okay for now. Like they're in a crisis, but if you write on a contract and extend the grace period, and if you say that it's okay for now, then does that makes everything okay somehow? Like that's literally what they expect because that's what a grace period means. They're saying it's okay for now. They literally expect that if they say everything will be okay, then everything will be okay. No, that's not how it works. Third option, a cancellation of a portion of the debts. Like, uh, whatever. That was only two.
Don't
Let's
make
see
your
if I can
head
find
hurt,
the
Dan.
first one. Tim, I can't hear you at all.
I said don't make your head hurt trying to figure out what they're talking about.
All right. So, I guess we can call that story unless you have any more. Wait, I just want to see real quick where the first one is. Oh, one of them is explicit annual transfers to the Greek budget. That is direct payments from other governments to Greece. Honest to God, those are your three options. Give them money, tell them they don't have to pay the money back, or give them more time to pay back the money. Like, oh, all right. I'm not gonna let my head hurt. Are we good to move on?
Yeah.
All right. I guess if I guess we can keep going in a circle. This is an interesting thing, but I do want to mention again, everybody out there. First of all, thanks for being here. This is YMB Live. Glad to have everybody around, listening, watching now and later, whenever you get to it. If you're interested in getting your thoughts on the show, you're going to send a tweet to @me and BTC with the hashtag YMB Live. And you can do that really easily at umeandbtc.com/live. There's a button right there that will fill in everything you need. You can also watch us there if you're not already. It's a good place to watch the embedded YouTube. Uh, you can listen to us there on the radio stream if you prefer. That is a train. Um, and vote. I definitely want people to vote in our poll. If people are getting into Bitcoin through sketchy stuff, if I mean this specifically came up because Backpage turned to Bitcoin because the government, well, the credit card companies turned Backpage away. Backpage is like a classified site, and instead of fighting it, Backpage is just like, all right, we'll use Bitcoin. But that all happened because of some sketchy stuff. Do you think that's good because it gets people, it kind of forces them to use Bitcoin? Or do you think it's bad because the media is just going to say, well, illegal stuff, therefore bad, therefore never use it? I don't know. So anyway, vote in our poll, you, me, and btc.com/live. And we will turn things over to John.
All right. Wait a second. I think I just. Okay, never mind. All right, so yeah, this is a CoinDesk article. Russian President Vladimir Putin addresses digital currency.
Oh yeah, I saw that one and it looked cool, but I didn't have time to read it.
Yeah,
So
I
here
mean
goes.
it's not that cool. It's just like I don't know. I feel like it's something that you kind of have to say anyway, talk about anyways. But I what it is that he said we don't reject anything, but we don't. He said that they're like willing to experiment with it, and stuff like that, but they're not like fully embracing it right now. And actually, a lot of people are pretty excited about this because he didn't say anything about outlawing it or anything. So like, it seems right now that it's pretty safe to be using it in Russia and stuff. So that's cool. So I want to find some of the things because like some of the things that he said, or at least like the way they have it quoted in here. Uh, Bitcoins are backed by nothing. The money is backed by nothing. That's the point. This is the major problem. They are not really linked to anything and backed by nothing. However, as an accounting unit, these coins, or whatever they are called, they can be used, and their adoption becomes wider and wider. As some
Whatever
kind
this
of
is.
as some kind of unit in some account, probably it's possible. I don't know what he means by it's possible, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
He's like, that is a really weird way to do it. To quote him, they say backed by nothing 3 times, and then he's like, oh, but whatever they are, they could be useful. I don't know, it's possible, whatever they're called, some kind of unit of account. Yeah,
well,
real.
yeah. I mean, that's Putin, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess
That's is that what you're going for there, John?
I guess I don't.
No.
I mean, it's not like they didn't just like these quotes aren't just like out. This is like one continuous quote.
yeah, and then he continued, we do not reject anything, but they are serious, really fundamental issues related to its wider usage, at least today. All right. I mean, yeah, I guess not rejecting it. I guess that's about Bitcoin. Like he's saying we're not gonna reject Bitcoin, but we have to analyze it, think about it, understand it, these serious issues, I guess. All
Yeah.
right.
A lot of people think that's pretty good news because I guess Russia tends to be like pretty reactionary against stuff like this. So the fact that like they haven't just like gone out and said this is the worst thing ever is probably a good sign.
Somebody says, "What? Why do they?" This is a comment. Why do they always say that cryptocurrency isn't backed by anything? Don't they understand the hardware and electricity to mine isn't cheap and takes time by a human to set it up and maintain it? Do you guys think that that stuff backs Bitcoin?
No.
No, I've heard that argument though, where people are like it's not free. You run electricity, but it's kind of I don't know. That's never really held up all that well. I mean, you could say it's backed by math. That's the only thing I've
Yeah.
ever really
So
thought that.
tell me if this metaphor makes
It's
sense.
backed by
Let's
math
say
and
I have
consensus.
let's say
Yeah,
I
the
have
consensus because of math, I guess, is what I'm saying. I don't
tell
know.
me something pretty valuable like I don't I want to say gold, but you can't burn gold. So like, well, okay, let's just say $100 bill. Ignore the fact that it's a U.S. dollar. Just say I have $100 bill or something worth $100. If I burn that and then I have the ashes in my hand, I'm not gonna say like, yeah, it cost me $100 to get these ashes, but they're not worth $100, right? Does that metaphor make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Work isn't worth something necessarily. That like that's one thing I've gotten into arguments with people about piracy over that, I guess. Like if I clean your bathroom with a toothbrush and it takes me like 6 hours, and Tim cleans it with like a mop and it takes him 1 hour or whatever, it's not more valuable because it took me longer to do it.
Just to
Right.
name
Yeah,
is Jonathan labor theory and value. We will be
yeah,
paid for our
yeah,
work and the labor
yeah.
that I've put into the go.
Work itself isn't valuable. I mean, to some extent, it like adds value, but it's not valuable in itself.
It's not intrinsically valuable,
Yeah,
I don't think.
yeah. But like
Well,
if
I mean,
something
I
has
don't.
to take a long time, it it becomes more valuable because it has to take that long. But like in itself, it's not. So yeah, no, is that what you're getting at, Daniel?
Well, I was just like the commenter said, it takes hardware and electricity. Mining isn't cheap. That's basically what he's saying. Is it costs money to mine, but it cost me $100 to burn that. Like, and that's really what the burning is even a pretty legitimate comparison, I think, because that's what you do with the electricity. You just burn it. You just do it because for arbitrary math problems, right? To solve the blocks, do the encryption or whatever. Like, it's incredibly arbitrary and like, oh, this would be an interesting. It would be hard to even represent this number, but let's say I think it's like they're called petahashes. We're at several petahashes per second on the Bitcoin network, but only one of those hashes every 10 minutes actually means anything and actually gets used. So, and it's like I said, it's hard to represent a petahash, but the number of petahashes in 10 minutes, there's no way we could ever understand that number. But the point is, only one of those for every 10 minutes is actually used. So they really are, in a lot of ways, they're just burning electricity. Now, it still serves a purpose because the competition, all those wasted hashes are still competition and they still secure the network. So I'm not saying they shouldn't do it, but still, I mean, they're just burning it, and even the ones that are used, the hash that becomes a block, like all it does is represent a collection of transactions. I could have written that on a piece of paper. I could have written this transaction happened and this transaction happened and this transaction happened. Like it's not the end result, a ledger that itself is not too complicated. I mean, it becomes more valuable because it's distributed and everything, and because of the way the system works. My point is, they they just burn electricity, and it turns out to be useful, but that's all they do is they burn electricity. They're not really putting value behind the Bitcoin itself, and that's how I would normally see backing, as in redeemable, or well, not quite redeemable, because I guess you can still have, like, I mean, we went from a redeemable U.S. dollar that you could redeem for silver to a non-redeemable dollar that was still backed by gold or silver, both. I don't know, but I guess it can still be backed if it's not redeemable. But the point is that there is something physical that exists that supports the value of a paper dollar. Well, there's nothing physical that exists that supports the value of a Bitcoin. I said a lot there. Does any of that make sense?
uh, kind
Do you think,
no.
like, tell me what you guys think about are they just burning electricity? Does it serve well, of course it serves a purpose, but is it legitimate to equate that to just burning money? Uh, Maybe not perfectly, because burning money literally does nothing, whereas burning electricity for mining does serve a purpose. So it's not perfect, but I don't know. Does a metaphor make sense? Is it okay to say?
Kind of. It's a little bit hard to compare the two, but it kind of makes sense.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
as far as the comment, I think it does respond to the comment, because all he says in the comment is hardware and electricity aren't cheap. Well, $100 bill isn't cheap either. But if I burn it and I have a result of ashes, that doesn't make the ashes valuable. So as far as responding to the comment, I think it worked. As far as actually saying that all miners do is burn electricity, maybe that's not the perfect way to say it, but I think it responds to the comment. Okay. Okay. We lost John, but that's okay. Oh, there he is.
No, I'm here.
Anything
Just blowing my
anything to
nose.
add here? Well, actually, there are some existing responses to this comment. Let me see what they say. The price of Bitcoin, like anything in the world, is backed by the trust of people. Same with fiat money or gold or diamond. And that is true. That's one of the first things I remember learning about Bitcoin. Yeah, sure, it's not backed by anything, but neither is gold, right? It's just it's whatever people are willing to pay for it, and then that involves trust because you have to trust that people would pay for that. I Do you guys agree with that? Is that is that what gives Bitcoin value? And if
Yeah.
so, is it the only thing that gives Bitcoin value?
I mean, I think that and the utility that it has are the only things that give it value.
Well, right, but it's useful because you're trusting the other people to accept it. So it's kind of the same thing.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about utility aside from that, in that it's like speed and portability,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's true. But
and
even
and
that's
the potential for security and the potential for privacy that it has, at least
right.
compared to
So
other things.
that's what enables you to trust it. And because you're able to trust it, you're able to give it a higher value, I think is what you're saying. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would agree with that. Are
Yeah, I
you
mean that. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
okay?
Maybe, kind of, somewhat.
Are you on the same page, Tim? Is there anything else that get? Well, yeah, I don't know. Is utility different than trust? I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
Utility,
mean,
definitely
yeah,
is. I
yeah.
can trust you that like we're both gonna agree that a cinder block is worth this much money, like between us, but like there's it's not the same thing as utility because it doesn't have any utility.
okay. So okay, I can see that. So then the whole gold not okay, yeah, and the reason I actually do like that because then with gold, what I would say is for the most part, it's just backed. Yeah, and I remember kind of ranting about this a week or two, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'll try not to go too far again. But with gold, sure, it has some utility and that gives it some value, but not $1,200 worth. And really, what gets it up to $1,200 is just human trust and
And it's
and
shiny.
human
It's
volition.
shiny, and our
And
and dead people used it, so we like it.
exactly. So so then it is the same way with Bitcoin. Sure, it has some utility, but it might not be $300 worth, and a
Well,
good part of its
it
value is just because that's what people are willing to pay for it,
probably
and it's
doesn't.
fine.
Not. I don't know. I think this is getting back to where we say nothing has intrinsic value, and it's all just what we decide is what it's worth.
Well, sure, sure. I, I mean, this is all economic stuff, and we're not experts. I don't
No one's
read very much
experts. That's a
philosophy
stupid
on this
thing to
stuff.
call yourself an expert in economics. And economics is just two people making a decision that has. There's no rules that goes around for something like that. I don't. I hate it when
Okay,
people try to
That's
make a.
that's not really true.
No. Yeah. Okay.
it's a social science. It's not like gravity where you can predict it exactly. You kind of have to analyze human behavior, and that can't be done
Well, it can be
exactly.
done somewhat now because so much of human behavior is controlled by the one system that you're using. As far as an economic thing like that.
No, I mean there's lots of things that come into economics like cost benefit analysis and statistical analysis and stuff like that, and all of that can get really super
Is that?
complicated.
No, I wasn't even thinking about that as an economics.
What were you thinking economics was?
Well, economics generally isn't referred to as a business running something. Economics is the
That's,
economy of a country. But yeah,
I mean,
Uh, I
governments do
think,
that stuff too.
yeah, I know.
yeah,
What
I
I'm
think that's
saying,
on here. Like economics includes a whole lot.
I mean, the thing is, even with government doing economic stuff, like, I bet you there are people in government who are like really smart and know a lot of crap. Like, the reason it doesn't work isn't because people don't know how to do economics. It's because the people in like it's about decision making. So like you can have the best economists in the world, but like the people who make decisions make the decisions. And there's a lot more they don't make decisions based only on economics. If governments did that, it might actually work a lot better. But that's not the only things that guides their
I don't know about
decisions.
that. A lot of economics tell them that what they're doing now is good. A lot of different economic theories, or at least parts
Yeah,
of what they're
that's
doing now are good.
That's
actually I would in this case I'm with Tim a little bit because
Just in this case.
there are there are two conflicting theories of economics, Keynesian and Austrian, right?
I think there's more
yeah,
than
but
that,
the thing is like even Keynesian economists like wouldn't always make the decisions that governments
yeah.
make. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
Okay.
which
There,
complicates things even
it's
more.
not it's not people whose sole decision is based on like economic theory because they also take into account public opinions and like
Yeah. Oh
ethical
yeah.
ethical issues too. Because I mean, there's probably some things in like any economic theory that people would think are like unethical if you were making a sound decision.
Right. And it's not just that they take into account the public opinion, but in a lot of cases the public selects them even though the public knows nothing about economics. Even I don't. I just said that. I mean, I know a little bit, but I'm not an expert. And yet I'm voting for, well, I don't vote for the bankers, but or I don't vote for the people in charge of the Fed, but what I don't really mean I mean like the American people or whatever. But the point is they vote for people who make decisions that they know nothing about. And that's one of the problems. Well, yeah, we don't have to go down this whole trail, but that's one of the problems with the whole idea of voting in the first place is because the voters cannot possibly know as much as they should about every situation that government deals
I
with.
don't I
So,
don't think you can know. That was what my original thing was, as far as like predicting. Like, I get that it's important. I think that
The thing
maybe
is,
people.
the thing is like the way Bitcoin works has some similarities to like the ideal Keynesian economy because
How
money
so?
is money is introduced into the system like to encourage people to start like to use it and to support the network. Like that's a Keynesian type of thing.
Okay.
The reason it's different than a government is because it's done by a computer.
Well, that's isn't that like what they do in Always Sunny when they I don't know if you've seen it, but they started introducing Patty's bucks.
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought that was
that's
their
like one of
original
the
thing
few
on
that I
like
have seen.
I mean it's kind of like that with the Keynesian thing, but it's also because you're creating an entirely
Wait,
new
tell that for me
separate
a little
economy.
bit
But yeah,
more, because
okay. The
not
Always Sunny
everybody's gonna
thing
know
is
what that.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a show. It's on like Fox or something. Or no FX. They run a bar, a very rundown, shitty dive bar in Philadelphia. And I think one time they don't do very well. So one time they're trying to get more business in. So they start printing out Patty's bucks. And their idea is to go out and give these Patty's bucks to people to spend on like free drinks or discounted drinks. And then these people are going to come back and use these to buy from them, and somehow they're going to make money from this. And then they just
Yeah, I
keep on
mean,
giving out more.
giving away
And
free money, and it gets a whole
Yeah.
bunch of people to come to the bar, and it works for like 2 nights, and then they're like, wait, we're out of alcohol, and we don't have any money to buy more.
Yeah. So I should clarify and say I don't mean that Bitcoin is Keynesian. I just mean that it's regulated.
okay, yeah, I get what you mean. Like
And like to
there's
be
a
able to
control over it, but that control
and
is like the
for
same.
something to be regulated, like you have to understand something about it.
Right,
You know.
but the problem
But it's
with
not regulated in the same sense.
government oversight, any government manipulation, any bank manipulation, oversight, control, the problem is not the fact that they're controlling the money necessarily, or the fact that they're creating money necessarily. The problem is the fact that fallible humans are making the decisions. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong
that's
with
exactly what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, that
okay.
you're explaining it way better than me.
So the fact that they're creating money is not necessarily a bad thing. It's the fact that the the people who decide when money should be created, how much money should be created. Well, see that's not perfect either because Satoshi decided all those
Nothing's going to be
for
perfect, Daniel.
Bitcoin. But it's the fact that they have power and they can manipulate things and they can change things in an inconsistent way. Maybe that's what it's about, inconsistency, whereas
Yeah,
computers are consistent.
Yeah, but do computers? How do you mean change Bitcoin? Like in this sense, give me an example.
No,
Like,
I'm not talking about changing Bitcoin. I'm talking about
uh,
changing the dollar or changing how much money
okay,
comes out
so,
or who gets the money, what the interest rates are.
okay, then explain to me how that. Are you saying that that would be maybe better if a computer did it instead of
No, well, I
people?
mean, sure, a computer can do it. I don't care who does it. Like I said, I think it's the consistency that that matters. If you can see where all the money is, if you can know when there's going to be more money and how much money there's going to be, and when they're going to stop making money, that that creates that creates a much safer environment because you can
Uh,
see what's going on,
Instead of
and
just
you're
we'll
not just
just
going to get flooded all in one day by all this, or in the case of the U.S. dollar, maybe a few years they're going to flood all this money into the market, and you're not going to be ready for it. Whereas in
you
Bitcoin,
weren't
you
thinking
should be
about
able
it
to.
3 years ago or something like a computer would. Okay, I guess I kind of get that.
yeah, consistency is a huge deal, and like that's also what's behind the thing that like having a more stable price makes something more useful because
Yeah,
because they can count that it's going to be worth this much money. They can make budgets and stuff. They can predict based on how much they're going to make, what kind of standard of living they can have, and all those kinds of things. And so like I mean, you could argue right now that there is inconsistency with Bitcoin as far as the value goes, but we have other kinds of consistency that are also valuable, and we bank on the fact that it's going to be more consistent in terms of value later.
Do
yeah,
we
I
bank on
think I
that?
would agree with that.
Or are
What's
you
that?
saying like the companies bank on that because they've set up and they're expecting more money later, or do you think they're making enough money now?
It doesn't have to do with making more money.
Then what are they banking on it being like you said that we're banking on it being more stable later. I like how do you mean that?
Well, if you're gonna like work for Bitcoin and get paid, I don't know, just say you get paid $20,000 this year or something, and then next year that same amount of Bitcoin is gonna be worth like $10,000. You're not gonna want to you're not gonna want to get paid in that.
Yeah, yeah, they're not
That's
going
all
to
I'm
want to pay.
saying.
Okay. Okay.
So like
That
we're
was
willing to deal with that because we have other kinds of consistencies as far as we know how mining works, and we know when the rewards are going to get cut, and we know when the difficulty is going to go up and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
And we're just like planning on it, or we're hoping that it's going to the other things will come later.
I like that discussion. It's some pretty new stuff. We never really talked about this. I mean, we've talked about backing Bitcoin or what does or doesn't back it, but we've never gone quite this far into it, and it's interesting trying to figure out all this economic stuff without much in the way of education about economics. But it's fun to do. Interesting thoughts all around, I think. So, and it seems like the word consistency is all of a sudden important. We've never really talked about that before. Well, we have talked about just knowing that the inflation rate for Bitcoin, but we've never really said that that means consistency, and we've never really said why consistency is so important. And anyway, yeah, I liked all that. Good thoughts. But anyway, where were we? That was all on that CoinDesk article, if I can find it again, about what was the story even about? Was it the Putin one still? Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, yes. So,
oh man.
yeah, and then we got into the comments about what's backing Bitcoin, and cool. I love that. That was a great one, and I just tweeted it out. I wish I tweeted it out 3 or 4 minutes ago so that more people could hear what we're talking about. I guess if you're on YouTube, you can just back up the video a little bit. But if you're coming in through the tweet, we just had a really awesome discussion about what backs Bitcoin, what backs the dollar, what backs gold, what's utility, what the idea of trust in Bitcoin, like just trusting that it has value, trusting that other people will pay for it, will pay X amount for it. Oh man, all kinds of cool stuff, and all that started because of Putin. So thanks, man. Anyway, if you want to get your thoughts on the show, well, pretty much if you want to do anything awesome with the show or anything awesome in life, you want to go to youmeandbtc.com/live, youmeandbtc.com/live. That's where you can watch us there if you're not already there. You can listen there if for some reason you prefer just audio. You can tweet us. That's the biggest thing. There's a button right there. You can click it, and it'll send a tweet our way. Send it to @UMe and BTC with the hashtag YMBLive, and anything, questions, comments. If you've got a headline that you'd like us to cover, it's a good time to squeeze that in because we're down. We got a little over half an hour, so we should have plenty of time. But yeah, anything that you want us to cover, that you want us to read on the air, uh, thoughts, anything, use that button. And then our poll is there. I'm not going to describe that too much more, but yeah, you can vote in our poll. We'd love to hear what you think. All of that is at youmeandbtc.com/live. So, okay, where to next? I guess, is it my turn? All right, I think it is. So I'm going to go to, okay, this one's interesting. Goldman Sachs survey says that most millennials won't use Bitcoin. Something like, well, they say most, but it's 51% in some survey said that they have never used Bitcoin and they don't plan on doing so. 22% say that they have used it and intend to continue using it. Another 22% said they haven't used it, but they will. They plan on it. So,
Huh.
yeah, uh, there's some more information here that I'll get to in a minute. But before we analyze it and see what they say, what do you guys think? Is that, well, my one of my biggest questions would be, do you think that the people that say they're never going to use it, they're never going to use Bitcoin, millennials that say that, do you think that's true, or do you think it's just going to take time to to convince them or to help them understand. Like, because that's what I think I would say is, oh, well, they say they're never going to use it, but they don't really know what it's all about. It's not as big as it's going to get. It's not as widespread. So I don't know. What do you think?
Um, I think if nothing else, uh, we're all well known for doing things and changing our minds pretty quickly once everyone else changes their minds.
Yeah, I
So
was
I
gonna
think it's
say
really
like
just.
millennials.
I was gonna say millennials too. I was gonna say our
Is it like?
generations, but then I'm like, I think a lot of people are like that, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, no,
But
I was
yeah,
gonna say like, don't people like? Isn't people usually think millennials are just like idiots?
yeah.
So
But we're
like,
also the hope of the future.
what?
But we're also the hope of the future and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I think millennials are pretty. I don't know. Don't they? Do they have like a reputation for being like easily swayed?
I mean,
Probably.
we helped Obama, so yeah.
Maybe I just feel like that because I feel like most people are pretty easily swayed, but well, depending on what you're talking about, but manipulated. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what is the
So
word? That's from Mr. Stark's class. Uh, no, is it incredulous or something like that, or is that the opposite of it? I always forget.
Incredulous means that you aren't easy to believe
Oh,
things.
okay.
So yeah, credulous means that you easily believe things.
I the not thinking about the future, just thinking about what you would have expected the results to be. Do you think 51% saying never is that high or low? Like what tell me a number that you would have expected from a poll like this. The number of people that millennials that would have said never, I'm never using Bitcoin. What would you have expected?
I would have expected the number of people who said never would have been lower,
Yeah.
but I also would have expected that the number of people who had already used it would have been lower than 22%. So, I don't know.
Well, I think it was actually 27% because there were 22% that says they have and they will, and there were 5% that said they have, but they aren't going to use it again. So that's
Okay.
interesting too.
Yeah, I don't think you said the 5% part of it, which I was wondering where that went because you said 22 and 22. I was like, I guess the other small doesn't really matter, but
Well, there's always a few missing percent in
yeah,
polls. It's like
yeah.
the I
But
don't knows or the others.
yeah, no, I would have expected that would have been a lot lower than 22, so I guess that maybe makes up for the 51%.
Yeah,
And
okay.
the 22 that said they were planning on using it, it wasn't just like they were open to using it, but they were actually planning on using it. Is that what it
Yeah.
was? That's pretty high too, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder.
Although, like, I wonder how the poll was done, because, like, if those are the only options, like, is there an option that, like, I've never used it and I'm not planning to, but I'm not going to say that I'm never going to use it?
Yeah,
Do they
no,
have,
that's the thing.
if that's, like, the survey, I fill out that answer on every single one. I don't
Yeah.
really know, but maybe, but I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm not going to say that I don't know, so I'm choosing this answer. Yeah. No, that is the thing with a lot of polls. It's it, I wouldn't say that they're useless. I wouldn't say that they're broken, but they might be a lot less perfect than some people think. I mean, it's just the wisdom of the crowds. It's a good thing, but it's still the way you create a survey is really important, and you can easily sway people just the order that you put questions in and everything. I remember I remember one. I think it was a YouTube video, and but it was like an old video, and probably from some classic TV show or something, but I don't remember. But somebody goes up to a, up to someone's door with a survey and says like, I don't even remotely remember the exact questions, but I'll just try and paraphrase it. It was something like, do you do you support our young men? Do you think they should be safe? Do you think that killing is a bad thing? And they ask a whole bunch of questions like that. And obviously, the answer is yeah, yeah, I like our young men. Yeah, killing is bad. Yeah, yeah. And then the last question is like, do you think we should stay out of the war somewhere over there? And they're like, oh yeah, of course. I don't think we should go to war. Um, and then so they started with that. But then he's like, all right, now let me try that again. And he's like, do you think that America is threatened? Do you think that our young boys deserve honor and and they should be working hard? Yeah, yeah, of course. I like America. We should be safe. Yeah, they should be working hard. Yeah, and then he's like, "Do you think we should go over there to war to protect ourselves?" Oh, yeah, of course. And our young boys, they'll be honored and everything. Like it and that's how it works sometimes. Like just the
Fight for
questions
your
you ask
honor.
are gonna manipulate the opinion. So, all right, sorry, that was a little off topic, but worth saying, I think.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk about the second half of this article because this is pretty interesting. The little headline is few privacy concerns. So apparently, well, I'll just read it. A significant number of respondents displayed a general apathy toward financial privacy. Goldman asked how willing millennials would be to accept inconveniences in exchange for reduced privacy and better security. Most of them, well, 48%, wait, never mind. 34% of male respondents and 48% of female respondents said that they were not too bothered as long as their service isn't directly affected.
Yeah, just make sure my
22,
internet's fast.
wait, 22% said they were in favor of sacrificing privacy for the sake of security. Why are they they're acting like they're acting like you can only have privacy or only have security. I
Well,
would
yeah,
say in a lot of ways I would say those are mostly the same.
you just do them at the same time. Privacy is safety from the government. Security is safety from criminals, or like generally accepted criminals. I think
Okay.
that's obviously a
I
generalization.
yeah, this this is a little different. This is exactly what I'm saying though. They're like it really is exactly like the question you ask. Oh, would you be willing to give up security for privacy? Um, maybe, sure.
Sometimes I
Would you
don't
be
know.
willing to give up
What does that
privacy
mean?
for
It's
yeah,
up to the person answering, and they're like, "Well, I kind of do." And
yeah.
they paint
So
it in a
so
special way. Daniel's, yeah.
I guess I don't like this as much as I thought I would. What I expected when it said few privacy concerns, I thought they would say something like uh m- people think that Bitcoin is unsafe, but surprisingly, these millennials were not too concerned about it. They thought they could be safe. They thought that Bitcoin was okay to use, and they weren't concerned about privacy because they thought that Bitcoin was private. But that doesn't really seem like what they were saying. It just I'm going to read this one more time. Goldman asked how willing millennials would be to accept inconveniences in exchange for reduced privacy and better security.
How
Yeah,
does that
I
even
don't know.
work?
Why
That's
would you
that's just
why
like
would you
saying, like, just let us see everything. We can protect you better.
Yeah, why would you accept an inconvenience for reduced privacy? Like that's no. Like why would somebody want like if I'm gonna get less privacy and I'm gonna be inconvenienced? Yes, let's do it.
You get
It's
more
like
security.
but I still don't understand the difference. Like in my mind, I would have always equated privacy and security, but not
That,
equated, but correlated. But anyway, I don't
yeah,
know.
you would, but like, why would they want you to equate those two things?
Well,
Think about
yeah.
who's
So
asking the questions. Why would they
yeah,
want
so
you to equate privacy and security?
yeah, I
So
guess
they're just
they're
trying to.
implying that the less private you are, the more secure you. Well, of course, that's what they're implying,
Well, yeah, that's what they
but
always say.
that
Just
I
tell
don't think that's what
doesn't
tell
they're.
make any
mommy.
sense.
I don't think that's necessarily what they're implying. I just think they're not, and I don't know that they're even trying to manipulate people. It's probably more just like, this is how they wrote it because this is how they
Yeah.
think.
No, I
But
agree with that. But
but like, it's
it's
just
like
that they don't. I mean, that's like the same thing with all like the TSA stuff or any of these kinds of things, or like the Patriot Act. It's like, well, you
right,
have to give up some privacy so that we can protect
exactly.
you.
Yeah,
It's not
it's like
it's not that they're
KYC.
saying. I don't think they're saying that being less private makes you secure. It's just that they're saying being less private is a side effect of what we're going to do to make you secure.
Right. Okay, I do get that too. Yeah, and it reminds me of KYC or AML and KYC. Like the bank or the gold and silver dealer, they have to know their customers, and so they're going to ask for your name and your address and your ID, or the Bitcoin exchange, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna take away your privacy. They're gonna force you to give up as much information as you can, and in theory, that makes you more secure because if you're a bad guy, they'll spot you. So yeah, that's I guess that is a pretty clear theory. All right, that was an interesting conversation, interesting survey. Respondents also expressed a high aversion to fees, with many suggesting that the costs would be a major influence in their choice of financial provider. Excuse me, but yeah, that's I think that is a big deal. Of course, they're millennials. They don't want to spend money. They should get everything for free. So they're averse to fees, and in a lot of ways that should help out Bitcoin because Bitcoin is pretty damn cheap. So hopefully people start to see that. All right, that was the very end. So that's I'm going to call it for me. I want to thank Genitrust before we move on. Genitrust has been amazing, nonstop. They've been supporting us, and they've been supporting the entire Bitcoin community, making it extremely easy to buy and sell Bitcoin. You can buy it with cash in minutes, honestly, and like very large amounts too. You could you could visit their website for the first time today, and half an hour later you could walk away with thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin, and you don't even have to create an account. So a great service there. But if you're a seller, it's great too. You can sell any amount, and the cash is available in your bank account immediately. So super convenient. You don't have to wait for transfers or anything. That's Genitrust up there. They created wallofcoins.com. That's where you can do this buying and selling. Wallofcoins.com. Huge thank you to them. You've still got a few minutes if you want to send in a tweet. Head to, well, here, I'll point down here this time. Head to btc.com/live and click the tweet button. Send us any questions, comments. If you want us to cover a headline, you still got a little bit of time. Anything at all, we'll read it on the air, maybe offer some responses. It'll be lots of fun. So get to btc.com/live, use the tweet button, use the voting button, and we'd love to hear anything at all that you've got. So, all right. Uh, let's see. Are we still going in a pattern? I guess I'm okay with this. Is it Tim's turn now?
Yeah. Let's go with that.
Okay, so if it's all
You,
you. If you got
uh,
some, oh, I didn't. I forgot to paste that story again. My
come on.
apologies.
You guys haven't talked about PETA already, have you?
PETA?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, it's this new device. I don't know where it was made. It's a little bit more dangerous sounding at first than it actually is. It's a it's a device. It works by it puts out some kind of I think it's a magnetic field. There's a picture of it on the page, but it's from Cointelegraph. If you want to look it up later, if you're listening later, it's just called "New Device Steals Encrypted Bitcoin Keys
Well,
in
just
Midair."
as a reminder, I as many story I put all the stories in the show notes in the links, and I
Oh,
try to
okay,
put
you
them in
did.
order. So if
Okay,
anybody's looking for it, you can just go through the list, and they should be in order, and you can just click the link to get to the same page.
okay. Um, this new device, and it's referred to as PIDO, which stands for Portal Instrument for Trace Acquisition, is used. I guess you can use it to get um, the keys, the private keys, for use with the GPG or not PGB encrypting. It there's the device creates some kind of field, and by the not the deviations, but how the field changes, it can somehow figure out file or not files. It can figure out the keys, which then lets them get whatever they want that the keys had. But he said that they've already successfully extracted keys from laptops of various models running GNU-PG, popular open source encryption software implementing the OpenPGB standard. Within a few seconds, the attack sends a few carefully crafted ciphertexts, and when these are decrypted by the target computer, they trigger the occurrence of specially structured values inside the decryption software. These special values cause observable fluctuations in the the electromagnetic field surrounding the laptop in a way that depends on the pattern of key bits, specifically the key bits window in the experimentation window in the in the key bits window in the explanation routine. The secret key can be deduced from these fluctuations through signal processing and cryptanalysis. So actually, I had it flipped around. There is not necessarily any field around the device, but I believe it has to be within 19 inches. Yeah, it has to. It's any computer device within 19 inches, so you don't have to be scared yet of someone walking around with it in their pockets and stealing all of Daniel's money. But it's still disconcerting. But also, they make the point at the end that one of the good things about Bitcoin is it's not just stagnant. It's really put together with the technology industry. So more security stuff is going to grow up to kind of combat that. So see what they do in response.
Yeah. I mean, it does say it's encrypted though, right? Like, yes, it can get your keys, but they'll be encrypted, right? I mean, what
What
does it
will
mean
be?
almost perfect? Like, what's the flaw? Why doesn't it work? Like, what's it? Because that's what the one heading says, the almost perfect hacking device.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe just because of the how close you have to be, but I don't know.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
I guess I
it only costs about $300 to make. It was made by Israel at the Tel Aviv University and the Technion Research Center. I don't know why it's
so.
not necessarily the best.
At what point are you vulnerable? Like, do you have to be sending a transaction, or
No, it's just
'cause I
any.
know
It's not
it says
necessarily
they,
Bitcoin keys either. It's any kind of
yeah,
keys.
anything with GPG, but also it says, I know you already read this, but I'm just trying to piece it together. Uh, we sent some ciphertexts, and when they are decrypted, they trigger the
Oh.
occurrence of specially structured values inside the software. Okay, and these special values, yeah, wow, that's crazy. They make observable fluctuations in the field. So basically, when the computer processes something that's encrypted, it causes the electromagnetic field to change, and that's noticeable, and they can read it.
I think so.
That's incredible. Wow. Really interesting. I want to get one now. Wow, that's amazing. I don't know. I mean, there's not much else to say, but I'm baffled.
Oh, okay.
Time to
Yeah,
give
it's a
my
little bit
piece of
scary.
foil hat. For n- for non-native English speakers, PETA also stands for pain in the ass, which is an apt description for this device. Uh, One possible fix might be painting your room using magnetic paint to create a Faraday cage. But be aware this is not the only attack vector. They can also employ a similar trick by analyzing main power usage patterns. So use battery only before important events, e.g. when handling keys and passwords. On a related note, keep in mind that laser mics beamed in onto Windows can pick up key presses and decode whatever you type. What the heck? What the heck?
You ever heard
Stop.
of like the laser mic things?
No, but I don't care. Like what? Holy, stop. Like they can do anything that they want.
Yes, they can.
Jesus Christ. All
19
right.
inches isn't that scary. That's what she said. I stole that from somebody right down the bottom. Yeah.
Wow, Tim.
I said I stole it. I didn't come up with it myself. Smartphones are safe, methinks. I always knew peanut butter would be weaponized.
All right. That was crazy, but I think we covered it. Anything else before we try and jump on, move on? I guess we probably have time for one more. And if you've got anything, John, I guess it's your turn. I can't decide if I like this circle thing. Like it's working, but but it just seems too rigid. I don't like things that are too rigid, too
Yeah.
specific.
Well, you're
I
just
don't know. I like spontaneous.
rambling.
I try to be. I plan to be spontaneous. So,
Really tried to be spontaneous today, guys. I'm sorry.
are you got something, John, or should I take the last one if you have something? What the? All right, we lost him.
There
Ouch.
goes John.
So
Oh, I've got
they
another
got
one.
him with the laser mics.
Fuck.
They're taking him
John, come
down.
back. Oh, they
All
shot him.
right.
He's dead. Daniel, they're coming through the doors now.
I'm I'm relatively certain I had one more up, so let me go ahead
I have
and
one.
what's yours? I'll see if mine's better.
It's
Hurry up.
just,
We
it's
don't have
about, there's a Bitcoin bill going through the North Carolina Senate committee. It's not very
Oh,
exciting. I was just making a point about it. It's the legislative bill that would cover Bitcoin, digital
wait,
currency
I never
related
said
business
that we wanted to
activities.
do yours. Maybe mine's better.
Well, I was just saying what it was, Daniel, because I'm really just
All right,
explaining it
go.
real quick,
We
and you
actually,
can
yeah,
go.
mine's pretty simple too, so we probably have time for both. Just quick coverage. It's all
Um,
you.
oh, okay. Here are the details. The bill was framed as an effort to make the agency's oversight of the digital currency sector more robust, as it's believed existing statutes already outlined how it would go about supervising such activities. And I just pressed the button. I didn't mean to change the page. If passed and signed by North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory, the bill would mandate minimum net worth requirement of $250. Minimum net worth requirement of $250,000 for applicants. Businesses would also be required to post a surety bond of
You've
$150,000.
got to slow down. I can't understand what you're saying.
Uh, the bill would mandate minimum net worth requirement of $250,000 for applicants. Businesses would also be required to post a surety bond of $150,000, an amount subject to change based on future transaction volume. So they can always just fuck around with it and just add it a little bit more if they want a little bit of
Yeah,
money.
so what they're doing, all they're doing, no biggie. They're just increasing the barrier to entry gigantically,
Yeah, up about
just so there's no
$400,000.
competition, because competition is dangerous and people start fighting, and we don't want any of that. So we'll just let the big guys take care of everything and keep growing, and it'll be real tough for any new guys to jump in because we don't want them to have any conflict.
But then we'll
What are
also
you guys
have it
talking
one day out of
about?
the year that we buy it at local shops to
What's
make
that,
our
John?
consciences feel better.
What are you guys talking about? I lost my internet like 5 minutes ago or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, we know.
that's right. We said they got you with the laser mics and they were coming to take you down. But
Wait, what? Got me with what?
oh,
Oh,
maybe you
maybe he
missed that.
jumped out a while ago.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, right now we're talking about North Carolina Bitcoin regulation, and you have to put up like $250,000 for one thing and $150,000 for another thing. And I was just saying, like, that's probably good, just so that it's harder to get into the space, so we have less competition, less fighting and stuff. We'll just let the big guys take care of everything, because it
No,
should
wait.
probably
I
be
don't.
better that way.
What are you saying they have to pay for?
It's New North
Licenses and
Carolina's.
stuff.
Yeah, it's to just run a business or to do business in Bitcoin. It's
Oh,
it's their version of what New York's doing, I believe. Their
okay.
Bitcoin bill. It's going through the House right now. What did I say? Assembly. It's going through some assembly. I don't know. Some little group of guys and gals in
Anyway,
suits.
yeah, it's that's definitely worth sharing, worth putting out there. But I don't know. We always harass regulation. I don't know if we have much to say other than get out of my way.
My way. That's a Senate committee. What did you have, Daniel?
Uh, what's that?
What did you have?
Yeah, I've got one more, but I was just going to tell John the laser mics thing was about the hacking, and somebody left a comment saying that they can point laser mics at your windows and pick up keystrokes and decode what you're typing. And I was just like, honestly, like they can literally do anything these days. They can like we're never going to be safe. I was just baffled, honestly, so. But anyway, um, well, actually, John, we've got 8 minutes left, and if you have anything you want to cover, it's technically your turn. So it's all you if you've got anything, or I do have one more if you don't. So
I would go for it. I have one, but I didn't really get a chance to read the whole article, and it's not. It's probably not something that could be covered in 5 minutes. So.
okay, all right. So this one is a Cointelegraph article from is it the 15th? Holy crap! Yeah, just today. It says 4:03 p.m. It's so for me that's the future, but it's probably European or something time. Okay, the headline: Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation promotes Bitcoin in Kenya. That's, I mean, sure. I like it when rich people try to get things going in the Bitcoin space, but BitSoko. It's the name of a company, BITSOKO. BitSoko received a research grant of US dollars 100,000, and with it, BitSoko aims to expand its Bitcoin merchant payment processing and Bitcoin wallet services to Zimbabwe and Sierra Leone. The project is entitled Enable Universal Acceptance of Mobile Money Payments. Okay, it's long.
That's a
And
terrible
if the
thing.
project is successful, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will offer another research grant of $1 million. So that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Uh, and they're just research. Why are they? Well, it says research grants, but their actual business. Like they're gonna do payment processing and Bitcoin wallet services, which that's more business than research. But okay, I mean whatever. I mean the only reason I express a little bit of concern, research, fine. Like if you want to do a research grant, that sort of makes sense, and you can, because sure, Bill Gates and his company, they want to know, they want research done, they want to learn more, and they're willing to pay for it. That's fine. But if you're going to give free money to a business, like that's not in itself a bad thing, but to me it seems like it could lead to bad things. If some big business is out there, it's kind of like the regulation where the very if you if you just give somebody $100,000 or even $1 million, which they might do in the future, it seems like a huge advantage for a business. And if they have free money, they might not handle it correctly because they're not really invested in it. And then they also might have limited competition because they were able to get ahead of the game. Does what I'm saying make sense? And do you agree? Like, would you agree that free money for a business could lead to bad things?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also,
I
would
mean,
you agree that
I
it's
think it would
okay?
almost put. Sorry, what?
And then the second half is, would you agree that it's okay to give money for research for the most part?
Well, I think it's okay to give money even to a. Are you talk from what position? From like a personal invest, like I just want to give money to it, or
Well,
what?
no, yeah, of course it's I said that. I like I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing to give money. I just think it could lead to bad things because
Okay,
they might
versus
not
money.
handle the money
Okay.
correctly, and then the competition will be skewed just like it is with regulation.
I think money. I mean, that's that's a good question about with donating it to research because I mean, research runs into a lot of problems. They get a lot of money for stuff, and they run a lot of research things that don't have any
Right, but
bearing
if
on
that's
anything or
how
can't.
Bill, no, this isn't Bill Gates himself. It's the Bill and Melinda Gates
Yeah.
Foundation. Just for the conversation, if that's how he wants to spend his money in order to learn more stuff, as long as it's private. If the government does it, screw that. But if it's private, if you want to know something about Bitcoin and you have to do research to learn it and you're willing to pay for that research, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And I'm fine
Yeah.
with you giving money to businesses. Like you can do it if you want to. I'm not going to stop you. I just think it could lead to some poor behavior.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. I think anything where you're getting money that it's because it's not coming from somewhere that it's hurting you or that you know where it came from, you're
Right.
definitely going to be less careful with it. You're going to be more likely to think, and it just puts in their minds that they have this money, and then it makes them feel more sure of their position than they
Right.
should be,
Oh, exactly.
stuff
Yeah.
like
It
that.
makes them more willing to spend money and could disappear, or it could be spent wrongly. And yeah, absolutely. So we're coming down to the wire here. So I guess we can wrap up that conversation. Um, just to, I guess there's not a ton more to say. Basically, well, the last thing I would say, we really didn't cover the whole story. We just talked about the grant and stuff, but that's fine. The last thing I would say is that sometimes businesses are the ones that have to do the research. Like they set up a business so that they can learn how people spend Bitcoin, how they use wallets and stuff like that. What's the best way to process a payment? Well, you can't do that without having a payment processor. So that's another thing to consider is sometimes it's research that is being done by way of creating a business, and that's worth considering. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I feel I could go off quite a bit on that, but I'm not gonna do that. We are about ready to
Okay.
wrap up. Everybody, huge thank you for being here. It's been fun. This is you, me, and BTC live. Remember that our open tweet lines are open all week long, and you can tweet us anything, anytime. I'm gonna give another quick shout out to like at Enjoy Bitcoins at well the name is Musings of a Sheeb, but that's I don't think that's the at handle. Let me see if I can find it here. And anyway, all these Twitter people that are around retweeting us, helping us out, it's amazing to have you there. All of our followers, I definitely hope that everybody will follow us if you're not already. Subscribe on YouTube if you're over there. That would mean a lot. If you want to head to our website and sign up for our email list, then you can be notified of all our new episodes, new articles, reviews, all kinds of cool stuff. We do giveaways through our email sometimes too, so that's
Maybe you can
pretty
get some
fun.
silver,
Giveaways.
Bitcoin, or
Yeah,
T-shirts.
exactly.
T-shirts.
T-shirts. Yeah, I do still have a few of those. So, unfortunately, I'm not. Oh, there it is. Musings of a Sheeb. Oh, that is the at name. Okay, so Shibe. Is that Sheeb or Shibe?
Shiba,
Shiba? Okay.
like the
Anyway,
dog.
everybody that's out there retweeting us, and even just our followers, huge thank you. Glad to have you. Subscribers, email, YouTube. If you want to just subscribe with RSS or whatever, you can do that too. iTunes, we don't push that very much, but it's one way to do it. So I guess we're gonna call it. Anything else? Come back next week. Well, tune
No.
in tomorrow. We're gonna be talking all about Backpage and illicit with escorts and stuff. Tim was a little too interested in that, but that's tomorrow. And then come back next Wednesday for another wild, fun time of who knows what. All right, see you guys. Thanks for being here.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Bye.